Hello and welcome to Picture Astrology. Today we are going to talk about a placement of Ketu, which many would argue as one of the best placement to have in a chart, and that is Ketu in the 6th house of the horoscope. And as we know from the initial videos of Rahu-Ketu series that Rahu and Ketu are points which act like a catalyst. They can accelerate or decelerate a certain process. And so there is absolutely no doubt that placement of Ketu in 6th house definitely can create a lot of desirable situations in life. Yet those situations will not be without their own drawbacks. So in next few minutes we will try to understand from a very practical perspective regarding both the desirable as well as not so desirable characteristics of Ketu in 6th house. So 6th house signifies many important areas of human lives, and with Ketu's placement here in the 6th, we will talk about following 6th house related aspects which are commonly observed to have great influence of Ketu in the 6th house. So let's begin with one of the most common 6th house area, which is your adversaries or enemies in life. People who are going to oppose your success. And many of the classics describe this placement of Ketu in 6th house in the true Sanskrit term. It is known as Ajat Shatru. And Ajat Shatru literally means someone who has no enemies, or somebody who is devoid of enemies. And this would probably be the first thing you will read about Ketu in 6th house, that it destroys the enemies of a person. Now in practical life, it is definitely a position which gives less enemies than say Rahu in the 6th house. So if you remember, in Rahu 6th house video we saw that when a planet like Rahu is here, a person definitely wins over enemies, but he kind of enjoys having a good fight. And a large part of that person's energy goes into fighting different kind of battles with their enemies. Now the blessing with Ketu here instead of Rahu is that generally person is blessed with enemies who are not really smart. See, Ketu alone is never known for its cunningness or shrewdness. Ketu is all emotional, and being smart involves a lot of brain power. And with Ketu in 6th house, one of the primary reasons why this placement is called, or Sanskrit classics describe as Ajat Shatru, is that winning over enemies becomes very easy for the person. Now there are definitely certain conditions. First and foremost condition to be someone who is devoid of enemies is that Ketu should not have any aspect or any other association. A Ketu which is absolutely sitting alone in 6th house without any other planet aspecting it or in conjunction with it is one of the basic requirements for not having absolutely no enemies. And the second requirement for this is that Lord of 6th house should be just well placed, meaning it should not be very strong as well as it should not be very weak. So if these two things happen, and in many politicians, if you observe, especially in political charts, people who have had support from all kind of parties, you will find invariably they will satisfy the conditions which I just described. Now what if there is an aspect on Ketu? Because having absolutely no aspect or association in Ketu, as you would have expected, is not going to be common. So in case there are aspects, then those aspects can be responsible for producing adversaries. But whenever Ketu gets activated, either by a good planet transiting over the Ketu or through Dasha Mahadasha, then you can easily get rid of your enemies. But in general, yes, this position of Ketu definitely definitely relieves a person of the opposition. Now second thing which you would find about this Ketu position is that it is always associated with success and many times with very good name and fame. Now one of the reasons for that is definitely less enemies or adversaries, which we just saw. And second reason for this is that Ketu in this 6th house gives a tendency to a person who is not afraid of doing hard work. See, 6th house is one of the areas of horoscope which has almost all significations which are malefic or krura, and therefore a strong malefic planet in such a house works really well. Now it doesn't mean that there will not be problems in life. There will be challenges, but the person has a temperament to work really hard, and that temperament coupled with the first factor, which is defeats of enemies easily, and Rahu being in the 12th house can show good name and fame. And if there are other aspects, or if the horoscope is strong enough, remember that principle of accelerator and decelerator. Rahu and Ketu usually acts as a catalyst to the promise of the horoscope. So if the horoscope is suggestive of those factors, this excess of Rahu-Ketu, Rahu being in the 12th when Ketu is in the 6th, which basically combines you the ability to work hard, luck with enemies, together can raise your name and fame and success to great degrees. One more important factor of 6th house is it shows your diseases or the kind of ailments which your body can contract. And just like in the case of adversaries or enemies, with disease also, Ketu signifies a quick recovery, generally a very good immune system in the body. However, digestive tract related issues are one of the most common thing which can happen with Ketu in the 6th house. And I actually forgot one thing about the success part of Ketu, and that is that 6th house is a house which also shows your subordinates or people who work under you. So Ketu here not only shows a person who is a hard worker himself, but people who work under you or people who report to you, you expect a similar level or sometimes even more dedication and commitment from them as well. So unless there are other relieving factors, generally Ketu here can make a person a tough taskmaster, and that could be a great contributing factor in their success too. Yet remember one thing, being a tough taskmaster does not mean that the person will be heartless. In fact, as you know, Ketu is all heart. Ketu does not have senses or intellect power because it does not has the head, but it has great intuition and great feelings. So even though they are known to be tough taskmaster, they are always found to be still helping everybody, especially people who report to them or are their subordinates in their hour of needs. And obviously the placement of Lord of 6th house can give more details about these tendencies, or sometimes rather contradicting tendencies. Now let's talk about maternal family, because 6th house in Vedic astrology is known to represent family of your mother, brothers, sisters and cousins from the mother side of family. And Karka of maternal family is Mercury. So if in case Mercury has any kind of affliction in your chart, then presence of Ketu in the 6th house can signify some kind of trouble in the maternal side of family, and that especially materializes during the adverse transit on the placement of Ketu or on the Mercury. Now definitely the Lord of 6th house is going to play a very vital role in this case, and sometimes when there is a strong aspect of Jupiter on this Ketu and 9th Lord is also well placed, what is observed is that the maternal side of family, especially the maternal grandfather, could be a renowned spiritual person, or at least someone who has good name and fame in the society, and also someone like who is known for his good conduct. So if there are relieving factors, then it's fine. Otherwise, transit of especially Saturn over this Ketu, in case Mercury and 6th Lord both are afflicted, then those could be some difficult times within the maternal side of the family. So friends, this was my quick analysis of Ketu in 6th house. Thank you for being with me so far, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.